Welcome back to the library. Today I'm going to be talking about Chapter 8 of the Feminine Mystique. We explore the rocket science level concept that having independence and a solid identity is a crucial thing for the healthy development of human beings of all ages. Grab a drink, have a seat, and enjoy the show. Analysts themselves have recently suggested that the lack of an ideology or national purpose may be partially responsible for the personal emptiness which sends many men and women into psychotherapy. They are actually looking for an identity which therapy alone can never give. It's good when a person has a purpose in life. This is why when you do nothing for too long, you can get depressed and anxious. Hearing someone affirm your feelings doesn't actually cure feelings of emptiness. Apparently, this is rocket science, because we are living in a time where people cannot grasp simple, common sense concepts. Instead, people choose to religiously believe that blanket affirmation leads to all the good things in the universe.
Lies and lies and more lies.
Of course, we can affirm and compliment people, but we should save it for when they actually do something worthwhile and good. If you keep complimenting and affirming someone, even when they've done nothing, they learn to expect praise for doing nothing. If you keep telling people they're doing good things, even when they're doing bad things, you turn them into narcissists.
I'm a narcissist.
You get people who think they're always right. When someone who thinks they are always right finally runs into someone who doesn't affirm and worship the ground they walk on, a blow-up is guaranteed to happen. The narcissist will get upset, confused, frustrated, and angry because they weren't affirmed. Welcome to why there are so many butthurt snowflakes in society. Actually, the moral of Strucker's cases was just the opposite. Those immature sons had mothers who devoted too much of their lives to their children, mothers who had to keep their children babies or they themselves would have no lives at all, mothers who never themselves reached or were encouraged to reach maturity. Psychologists blamed independent mothers who had found their individual identities for the rise of mental illness in the new generations of kids. These mothers were the feminists of the 1920s. The problem with the psychologist's lack of logic is that most of the kids having mental problems had mothers who were born and raised before the feminist movement. Those mothers didn't have or know any of the feminist movement's ideas, so chronologically, there's no way it could be the movement's fault. I can't believe I just said that, but this may be the one thing feminism is not at fault for. The idea of the independent woman with a solid identity wasn't even an idea that was in the mainstream at the time these kids were having mental problems. So how could it be the cause? The problem was actually immature mothers trying to raise children when they themselves had the mind of a child. Coddled children turn into insufferable adults because they want that blanket affirmation and they freak out if they can't have it. You have to reject the blanket affirmation lifestyle if you're ever going to stop feeling like you need to be coddled. The studies that show working women to be happier, better, more mature mothers do not get much publicity. Since juvenile delinquency is increasing and much more women work or are educated for some kind of intellectual work, there is surely a direct cause and effect relationship, one says, except that evidence indicates there is not. Apparently the media has always been a lying sack of dog shit. Here, we see the media claiming causation for two completely unrelated things and leaving out crucial information because it sounds good for the narrative they wanted to push. One of the media's favorite things to do is interpret studies incorrectly. Why else would they still do it, even to this day? Pay gap, anyone? The reason stupid feminists think the pay gap is based on sexism is because the data pushing that narrative was interpreted incorrectly, on purpose, and then shoved down people's throats. If you do some research, you find out the reason the pay gap exists is because of the different choices men and women make when it comes to jobs, as well as the biological reality that women take time off for pregnancy. Here, the media says that because happy working mothers don't get publicity, and because juvenile delinquency is increasing, that must mean that juvenile delinquency is caused by happy working mothers. It seems like the media is saying the working mothers are neglecting their children, so they're becoming juvenile delinquents. That's not to say that no working mother ever neglected her children, but it is incorrect to say that it definitely happens for all working mothers. The media purposely left out the fact that the study was done in poor neighborhoods with broken families. Instead, they applied the results to everyone, making middle-class neighborhoods with intact families think there was something wrong with them if the mother worked outside the home. Here for years, I've been purposely taking temporary jobs and part-time jobs, trying to arrange my working life in the boys' best interests, and now it looks like I've been doing the worst possible thing. I don't know what purpose this serves for the media to act like this. Are we just one big science experiment and the media thinks, ooh, hey, it'll be fun to fuck with people, let's try it and see what happens? Actually, this mother, a woman with professional training who lived in a comfortable middle-class neighborhood, was equating herself with mothers in that study who, it turned out, not only lived in poor socioeconomic circumstances, but had in many cases been juvenile delinquents themselves. And they often had husbands who were emotionally disturbed. The media was so desperate to make working women seem like the villain that they left out crucial details like the real cause of juvenile delinquency. In this day and age, we have the opposite problem. Wonder why housewives are getting called derogatory names and being bitched about and made fun of? Media wants to make housewives villains, so they're using tactics to make them seem insane for choosing to stay at home. The psychiatrist David Levy, in a very famous study of maternal overprotection, studied in exclusive detail 20 mothers who had damaged their children to a pathological extent by maternal infantilization, indulgence, and overprotection. A typical case was where a 12-year-old boy who had infantile temper tantrums in his 11th year when his mother refused to butter his bread for him. I wonder if this psychiatrist is still alive today, because if he thought 11-year-olds are too old to have infantile temper tantrums, he'd be in for a big surprise to see that grown adults are having infantile temper tantrums.
I just saw a fucking pro-life sign driving down the fucking road having a mental breakdown, and I just want to say all you people you're so fucking stupid!
Infantilization, indulgence, and overprotection are descriptions of coddling. Always saying yes to your kids and doing everything to an unreasonable extent for your kids does nothing except create a giant adult baby.
And a grown person who has been doing your fucking wrong!
Shit.
Yes, I'm not pissing myself because I'm upset! I am upset!
You better get out of me.
Upset! You guys should just say!
Back up.
You guys should just say! Yeah, back the fuck up! Because you a bitch ass motherfucker!
The point of being a parent is to teach the child how to be an adult, not to treat them as babies for the remainder of their lives. Is lack of love the cause of neurosis, or the middle-class parental nurturing which absorbs the child's independent self and creates in him an excessive need for love? Helicopter parenting, next to coddling, is one of the most annoying parenting styles I've ever seen. Purposely making people dependent on validation and affirmation creates some of the most irritating people on the face of planet Earth. These people grow up thinking that all of their self-worth should come from external forces. Clinginess, neediness, whininess, and perpetual insecurity are personality traits from hell that are developed when you have helicopter parents. When a person grows up thinking that everything they do should be dependent on someone else, they become weak people who can't do anything for themselves as adults. They go through life annoying the rest of us who get sick and tired of holding their hands through life because it seems like they refuse to ever learn anything. Yet some of the children miraculously did not become pathological adults, not because of therapy, but because by circumstance the mother had acquired an interest or activity in her own life and had simply stopped living the child's life for him. In a few other cases, the child survived because through his own ability he had staked out an area of independence of which his mother was not a part. This study revealed the truth about how to become a successful adult, which is independence.
What?
As the child grows up, both the mother and the child need to find their independence as two separate people, Imagine that.
It's not rocket science.
It isn't rocket science, but it took this study for society to realize that for some reason. It also looks like we need to dig this study up, blow the dust off of it, and read it again, because we have an epidemic of coddling and affirmation, which has resulted in the nightmare we now call Gen Z.
I'm a narcissist.
I think that's about all I have to say for this chapter. Remember, being your own person is a good thing. Don't be a narcissist, don't be a moron, and I'll see you on the next video.